Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to this edition of Creating the Future with me, Dr. Brent Simpson, and I am so excited to be joined today by Pastor Josh Jordan with us here at Arise Church as a Saturday campus pastor. And we're so excited to have Josh because we are in this summer series right now where we are interviewing our pastors here at Arise, because you frequently see them in passing. You might see them at a fire night if you're not in his service, and you think, like, who is that guy? Where did he come from? What's his story? How was he called into ministry? You know, all those kind of questions. How did he end up at Arise? And so what we want to do is answer those kind of questions for you. And today is Pastor Josh's turn to be on the hot seat to answer the questions. So Josh, welcome. Super excited you're with us.
I'm blessed to be here. I'm excited. Yeah.
And you've been on the podcast a couple times before because you've interviewed me and we've done things together on a few other podcasts. And so. All right, let me see if I can interview you today and see if we can come up with some questions about your life and who you are that might be helpful to people in our church. So let's start with a fun one right off the bat.
Okay.
Favorite food. Like, if you could eat one food the rest of your life, only one food, what is it?
It's sushi. So I have.
Are you serious?
Oh, I love sushi so much.
Okay.
So much, probably too much. You know,
I did not predict that.
Yep. I love sushi. And it's an expensive food, so I don't get to go as crazy amount because I can't afford that much sushi. But it's bad. So, but I do love it. So.
I did not see that coming. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that's surprising to me.
I know.
I don't see you as a sushi person, but that's
I
really
can put
cool.
some down. I can put some down.
All right, maybe the reason why you like sushi is because of the next question. So tell us, like, where did you grow up? I think it's nowhere near sushi. Where did you grow up? And what was your childhood like?
Yeah.
What was it like as a child?
So funny. There's like no connection to sushi. But I actually grew up, so the first 8 years of my life, I grew up on a farm. So Polk County, we were, right off of 464, there's just trees, and then you got our mailbox, and then there's 66 acres. We did everything, everything but basically make our own cheese. That's kind of where we were at. And so that's what I grew up on. I grew up on, we were homeschooled, so by 12, everything was done, and we would take the horses out and just explore. I had a BB gun before I was 6 years old, which is probably like bad now,
You're gonna shoot your eye out.
You're gonna shoot your eye out. And so that's what we grew up in. I grew up 8 years. That was a pretty large part of my upbringing. Was just on this farm, and the land was what we had fun with. Whether it was horseback riding, whether it was just camping, we had fun. And then my dad, we moved into the suburbs for about 4 years and realized that's not for us. Like that was not it, but that was fun. Being able to play with like neighborhood kids, because we didn't have a neighborhood. It was just us. And then
so pause right. I'm just curious. So all right, so you grew up on a farm, homeschooled.
Yeah.
Did your mom wear long dresses? And did you churn your own butter?
Did we churn our own
butter?
butter?
You have like 14 brothers and sisters?
So this is not going to help my case.
How stereotypical is this?
This is not going to help my case. So we did turn our own butter, but I don't know if it was a science project or not. And my parents actually took in a lot of foster care kids. So throughout the time we were there on the farm, they took in 19 foster care kids.
Holy moly.
Yes. And the time we moved into the suburbs, there was 5 of our own. So I'm coming from a family of 6. So there was a lot of us. That doesn't help the case of what you're painting. I'm sure my mom probably did wear long dresses. She's very modest. So you
grew up on Little House on the Prairie.
It was we watched Little House on the Prairie.
Right.
And so
it's still a classic.
It is.
And I heard they're remaking it now.
Are they really? Okay, I have to keep an eye out for that.
See if that's any good.
Yeah, that was a pretty big staple for our family. But yeah.
Sorry. So suburbs. I cut you off.
Suburbs. Oh no, you're good. Suburbs. My dad was like, I don't like this.
Suburbs where?
In Claremont, Florida. So Lake County. And so we were there for 4 years, and then we moved kind of like in the middle ground. We were just outside of where you can get pizza delivered, but we weren't like 66 acres. And so that's what, at age 12, we moved there, and that's where my parents retired and stuff like that. And so that was kind of my upbringing, was homeschooled my entire life into college, played a lot of sports. That was kind of like our, how do you meet other people that's not related to you? And so that was the way of like, don't be the awkward homeschooler, but you're still awkward to a certain extent. And so, but yeah, that was basically kind of the upbringing. Was we built stuff. We were on the farm. We had animals, horses, cows, all the good stuff. So that was kind of my upbringing, which doesn't help where the sushi came from, by the way.
Yeah,
there's zero connection there.
Where does the Oklahoma and all that come from? Because did you live in Oklahoma too?
I did. So that's where I went to college.
So you didn't go there till college?
Didn't go there to college.
Okay, for some reason I thought that's where you were when you were playing sports and stuff.
Oh no, that's where I went though. That's where I went to play sports, and then that's where God decided to change my entire life, which was for the good. But so my upbringing was Claremont, Florida, Polk County, Lake County, was that in that area. Played a lot of sports. That was, like I said, other than sports and church, that was it.
Right.
Everything else was at home.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think you and I share this. So you were the quarterback of the football team too, right?
Yes.
So we share that in common. Where was that at? Where did you play at?
So Central Florida Christian Academy in Orlando.
Okay.
So that was a 45-minute drive. I don't honestly how we got connected over there, because that's not where we went to church or anything like that. But it was a private school, and they had a football program, baseball program, softball program. So all my siblings, we all played there and then travel ball. Yeah.
So if we saw you, if we met 15-year-old Josh Jordan,
Yep.
like what were you like as a teenager?
So as a teenager, I was obsessed with baseball by far. Baseball was everything.
Yeah.
School, like I said, school took 2 seconds. So school and everything was done, and then it was baseball. So the time I was a teenager, we had a batting cage in our backyard.
Really?
Yeah. So we had pitching machines. So baseball was everything. When I got my license, I was at the school twice a day doing workouts with football team, with baseball team, private lessons. I had access to all the entire baseball program. So I mean, everything was baseball. Like I couldn't see anything past baseball by that time. And then I went through some weird phases.
What position did you play in baseball?
I was
primarily
shortstop. But they put me in pitcher and catcher, but primarily shortstop.
Those loose hips, quick feet, get out real fast. Okay.
Helped with football as well. And so football was great. It made my arm strength much bigger than it was. So that helped out a lot. But yeah, man, that was everything kind of revolved around that. Games, practices, that's what we did in the afternoons. Except Wednesdays. Wednesdays were untouchable. We had Bible studies on Wednesdays. And then Sundays were untouchable because we had church. And so if we had we did travel ball, any type of sports that were outside of it, it was either we get a ride with the coach or you don't go, because we're not going to take the whole family from church. So church was pretty significant, and it had to be like it's the championship game on Sunday to go to, type of thing. So
that's cool, because I didn't know that, and I would actually argue that's the best way. Now you've lived through it. What would you say as a child who lived through it?
Yeah, absolutely. So realistically, I'm not trying to hate on anyone. Your child's probably not going to go pro. Little old Tommy at 6 years old is probably not going to go pro, and your life shouldn't revolve around little old Tommy. At a certain point, you will notice significant, talent.
Yeah.
And so I had enough talent to at least get a college scholarship.
Yeah.
But at that point, it was evident. If it's not evident by 15, if it's not pretty significant by then it's like, hey, you should probably be investing in his future in a different way, or their future in a different way. But at no point was baseball more important than God.
Yeah, that's good.
And so that was always communicated to us. Was sports is never better than God. It was that was the most important thing. Even school. Yeah. The baseball was an award. If we got a bad grade, we couldn't go to practice.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I hope you are enjoying today's show, but let me take a quick time out to remind you to like and subscribe. It helps us get this content out to so many more people, as well as do me a favor and leave a comment. I always enjoy reading your comments every single week. Now, let's jump right back into this great conversation. So I love hearing that. So let's move on now from baseball in high school to now. I think you're playing baseball in college. You go to college scholarship?
That was the plan. So I went to college for baseball. I got redshirted, and so I was.
Where did you go to college at?
Oral Roberts University.
So ORU, okay.
ORU.
I got an Oral Roberts plaque on my desk.
Oh, cool.
We only think great things or whatever it says. I come from Oral Roberts.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool sayings. And so that's where I went originally for baseball. And I got redshirted. I was really young, so because of being homeschooled, you can, I think your son did it. We can take college courses, stuff like that. So I was really young. I graduated young, so they're like, hey, you're young. You have a lot of muscle development. You got stuff. Let's redshirt you, so that way you can have a better.
Just out of curiosity, how much did you weigh? You go to college?
165.
Okay, yeah.
165.
You're pretty skinny.
Yeah, I was small. I was small. I was small. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So that whole redshirted year was a lot of physical training, just a lot of physical training. And that was it was like the 1 year, once baseball started in the collegiate level, I mean, that takes over your life. And so this was like, I could do stuff. I could go on trips. I could pursue things. And thank God for it, because if that didn't exist, I don't think I would have been in a place to receive from God. Because everything was baseball, So I went to college, originally to play baseball, but within that first year, that's when God really got a hold of me. And I began to ask questions bigger than baseball and what do you want for my life?
Yeah. So back up. So when did you get saved? Was it as a child? Was it later on? Did you have a rededication, or how did that work for you?
Yeah, both ends. So I got saved when I was 12. I know that was very real to me. I understood the decision I was making.
Right. Was that just in church, or how?
That was at home. That was at home with my dad. But I think it was evidenced. I have 3 older sisters, And so it was evidenced being in church, evidenced with siblings of like, okay, what this relationship looks like.
Yeah.
So when I was presented with it, it was like, yeah, this is exactly, I already know what this is. Exactly,
Yeah,
I want to make
right.
that decision.
You grew up in it.
Yeah, I grew up in it. And so that's what I got saved when I was 12. But it wasn't until that first year of college where that's when I got filled with the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And that's when I think I had a better understanding of surrender to the Lord and my dependency on Him. And so when I got filled with the Holy Spirit, it dramatically changed my life. That was, I mean, I was hearing God's voice for the first time, which was like I heard people talk to God. Yeah. I didn't know what that was about.
Right.
You know, I could recognize His presence. You know, people raising their hands in worship, and I thought it was a performance because I was like, "What are they doing?" You know. And so I saw the church, but I didn't know what it felt like. What was driving those actions? And so that second semester of my freshman year, the first semester I fell into addiction, and then second semester got free from the addiction, got filled with the Holy Spirit, and then went on a mission trip that dramatically changed my life.
Okay.
And that's when I began to ask the questions like, God, what do you want in my life? And so that's when God just began to speak.
Out of curiosity, where was the mission trip?
It was in Brazil.
Okay, so you go to Brazil.
I go to Brazil for a month.
That's a long-term mission trip there. Okay.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. We're building a church, which is like, as a guy, that's cool. You're building things. You want to build. Right. And then you're in the Amazon, and they tell you to buy they told us to buy a machete. Like, they told us to buy a machete for snakes. That's like the coolest thing for a guy. I don't know. We're like, oh, we're buying machetes. So first day in, we're
especially college guys.
Yeah, we all had a machete. We all took it back with us too. Smuggled it back into the States. But before then, I'd been on mission trips to Nicaragua, to Honduras, multiple times. And from those mission trips, I was like, there's a need here, but I ain't the guy I called to.
Right.
But I think it was because I got filled with the Holy Spirit. I think there was this genuine spirit within me that when I went on that mission trip, it went from, there's a genuine need here, to God, am I supposed to be part of meeting the need? Am I supposed to be part of what you're doing here?
Right.
And that was the first time I ever asked that question. Most of the time when I went on a mission trip, I was like, I'll support the church. I want to live comfortably, and I'll support the church. But when I went to Brazil, again, leading up to that, I came out going, Lord, I need to ask what you want for my life. Because right now it's the Josh show.
Right.
And in that next semester, God showed up in a miraculous way.
Yeah. That's so good. So is that your call to ministry?
That was my call to ministry.
So take us there. How did that look for you?
So I'm a math major, by the way.
Which is another thing, like just knowing you, sushi and math, neither one of those to me scream Josh.
No, they don't. Those people don't do it. I don't advertise it very much. Just weirdly good at it growing up. And so I was like, well, let me do something I'm good at, because I don't want to have to like try in college. I don't know if that makes sense.
Right.
And so I was like, I'll just do that in college. I'm a math major. Then struggling with this, like, is God calling me into ministry? Math doesn't necessarily kind of fit in that puzzle. And so going into the next semester, I'm still a math major. They do a week of revival at Oral Roberts, where they cancel classes, they bring in speakers, very similar to like our revival services we did. And I was like, this is a great time to pray and fast for God's direction in my life. And throughout that week, I'm just like, Lord, you gotta answer this question, because I'm not gonna change my entire life because I had this cool experience in Brazil. And this was probably just maybe pride, maybe just like I'm not sure enough, I don't know. But God was gracious enough, and he sent 19 people. I don't know if I needed 19 people, but I can recall 19 different people. Some people who knew me, some people I have no idea to this day, that were bold enough to go to the point where they're like, hey, I don't know who you are, but God told me that you're in the wrong major.
Wow.
On the way to like getting food, you know? Wow. And so from that point on, I was like, all right, I don't necessarily know what I'm called into, but I know I'm called into ministry. And so changed my major halfway through. And so then by the next semester, I was now, pursuing whatever calling that looked like. So then, which was good, because that was honestly the week in which it was like, you have to choose baseball or choose God.
Yeah.
And I was stuck with that question again, which I had this entire upbringing of like, God is the most important thing. And now God has clearly told me, it's me or it's baseball. You can't do both.
Yeah.
And so to pursue the call, I also had to lay down baseball.
Right.
But yeah, that was sophomore year. I think that was in September maybe.
Okay.
And since then, it's just been, I was like, Lord, I don't know where or what, but if you make it clear, I'll go. That was just kind of it. And so I was like, if it's a missionary, if it's a pastor, whatever it is. So yeah, college. Yeah. Went through college, and then coming out of college, got my first job at a church in Oklahoma. I met Victoria, my wife, there at Oral Roberts.
Was that Oral Roberts?
At Oral Roberts, yep. So I finished everything there. Met Victoria there, so she was like a year behind me, and so I had 1 year. I ended up graduating early with the dual enrollment, and so started working at a church, and that was like the coolest thing. Yeah. To like get paid to work in the church.
What did you do at the church?
So I was a kids pastor.
Okay.
So
Right.
so that was my first stint, was in a kids pastor. I was one of.
That's where the power's at.
That's where the power's at. I'm telling you, that was life changing. Kids ministry is amazing.
Yeah.
And so I remember as a kids pastor, I was one of many. It was a larger church. So at that location, there were 1,200 kids on a Sunday.
Much larger church.
Yeah, much larger. And so there was me, there was another one, there was a curriculum person, then there was a person over us all, that over campuses. And so it wasn't just me, which was nice because I had no idea. I came from small church,
Right.
And so I was like, this is crazy what we're doing right now. What are these systems? What are these lights? What is this board? I remember learning ProPresenter, which is like the programming for, from a student. He was like,
software.
I was like, 'cause I had no idea what it was. And so very humbling, but man, I had so many people pouring into me. And that's probably one of the most amazing seasons of my life, when it comes to ministry. Which was, I remember we went to camp, this is by far, not by far, but it's one of the most amazing moments of my being in ministry, was going to camp with these kids. So there's 1,200 kids just worshiping. And then we did an altar call, and like hundreds of kids go to the front.
Yeah.
And I just remember just going like, that's an entire generation. Yeah. Like there's hundreds of kids.
Right.
And I just remember just like, the Lord had met, this kindergartner. The Lord met this second grader. And that I just remember just being like, this is the coolest thing to see.
Yeah, these kids having encounters with Jesus. It
awesome.
Transforms them for the future, and now and the future.
Yep. And so I worked there for 3 years, and then that's when Victoria graduated, and God sent us to Waco, Texas. So that's what took it, and then
not Waco, Waco.
I think they're similar. I remember moving to Waco because I had no idea what was in Waco other than the school we were going to. We'd never been to Waco.
What was the cult that was there years ago? That's like the only reason
David Koresh, right?
Right. That's the only reason I know of Waco.
Yeah, that was the two. So we had like my generation, which was like, oh my goodness, there's Chip and Joanna.
Yeah.
And then there was you and my dad's generation was like, hey, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. Don't drink the Kool-Aid type of stuff. Yeah. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? But yeah, going there, it was pretty serious. You could still go visit and stuff like that. But
so you pastored a church there in Waco.
I did, which is also another crazy God story.
Yeah.
God this was like, God, you tell us where to go, we'll go.
And that's crazy because you were very young when you were pastoring the church.
I was.
Victoria was in her graduate degree at Baylor.
Yep.
And how old were you?
I was 22.
When you started being a lead pastor at 22.
From only being a kids pastor.
Yeah.
And so that was the crazy. I remember being on this phone call, and someone gave us a word. Hey, this job you're gonna get, this church you're gonna work at, they're gonna have a parsonage. And I had to literally, I was like, what is a parsonage? Because the church I was like non-denominational, very, the parsonages weren't really a thing.
Yeah.
And so there was one church that was looking for a pastor in all of Waco, Central Texas, that had a parsonage, and they were looking for a senior pastor. And I was like, what are they going to tell me? Something I don't know, that I'm not, qualified to be a senior pastor. And so when they called back, they're like, hey, are you interested in this job? And I was like, I mean, yeah. They're like, okay, just a heads up, we're an older congregation. And I was like, just a heads up, I'm 22 years old. Yeah. And I only know to be a kids pastor. And they're like, that's great. We want life. And so they just wanted something to ignite them, and they were a 125-year-old church. And so they were like, I think they were just willing to get anything that would bring life. And there was a lot of, I learned, doing weddings, funerals, communion, those things that you don't do as a kids pastor, right? All learned there, and they had so much grace. And there's some funny stories there that
definitely learn on your feet. All right, so how many years have you been in ministry now to today?
Till today, about 13 paid, 13 years.
Yeah, so 13 years-ish, however you want to quantify it. What is one thing of ministry that has surprised you from maybe the youthful, this is exciting, this is going to be amazing, and then you stepped in and it's like, oh, this is different than I thought.
Yeah.
Good or bad? What has been the most surprising part of ministry?
One of the surprising things is the friendships you're able to develop so quickly, but then also lose them very quickly.
Wow.
People come in, and then you have the capacity, which is, and it's difficult to honestly almost stay open to it, because you don't want to harden yourself off to any kind of friendships, because people come in and then they got to move, or you got to move, and so you have these deep friendships that last for short stints sometimes.
Right.
And that's surprised me, which has been really nice. It's like, oh wow, I don't know how we're going to get involved in. It's like week 2, and you have these best friends, and you're at their house already. But then at the same time, it's like in one moment you can lose your best friend. that you just developed. And so that was surprising. No one told me about that.
And not just because they leave the church or whatever, they move.
Yeah,
right?
good reasons.
People are
good
transient,
reasons.
and especially like if you're in a military town, you know, the military folks are always moving, and career changes now. People will just move much easier than they once did.
Yeah. So that's probably the most surprising thing. Again, it's been amazing because you're not a stranger for long. You know, if God moves you, you're not a stranger, and people are so welcoming. But at the same time, sometimes it's hard because it's like, man, that was a great friendship, man. I really love that dude. And then, you know, it's like my best friend lives in El Paso right now. You know, met him in Tampa though. You know,
right.
And so,
All right. So, what is, now that you've been in ministry all these years, what is one moment in ministry that you'll never forget that marked you? Those kind of key moments.
Yeah, key moments. Man, that kids ministry moment was pretty significant. And I just remember just being, that was pretty powerful. I think recently, watching my daughter get filled with the Holy Spirit. During the revival services, I was bawling. I just remember, I don't know, there's seeing other kids experience the presence of God, but when it's your kid and you have so much, you want them to experience the presence of God, like more than probably anyone else. Then to see them crying and speaking in tongues, and you lose it. And if anything came from being in ministry where my kids were exposed to the presence of God early on, it's worth it, because that was amazing.
That is awesome. That is awesome. All right. So how did you end up at Arise? I know my version of the story, because this was your unique story to coming to us. But I know my version. You tell your story.
It's a cool God story. So originally it started when you started mentoring. I think it really went back. My wife and I, we launched a church in Riverview, and to do that, I had to meet with you as the Section 10 presbyter.
Yeah, because you guys became an Assembly of God church.
Correct, all at that same time. And so I remember, like at that time, there was 10 years of praying for a mentor. And so I was like, oh, this is the guy that I want. I don't know if you're gonna say yes, but then you said yes, so it was awesome. So that relationship started and lasted the entire length of that church. And then at the end of the church, God told us to close it, and honestly, just to give everything and merge with Arise. Like, hey, we're going to be part of whatever you guys got going on. Here's everything. You guys are doing things for the kingdom, and here's resources that we can fuel the kingdom with. And so when God told us to do that, which we didn't know why, we honestly didn't know why. We're like, oh, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? God was like, this was the next step. We didn't see it. And that's when I remember meeting with you, letting you know, hey, we're about to do this. This is what God told us to do. And in the next week, we're announcing this to the church. And I remember you sitting there going like, well, that's crazy, because this is why I want to meet with you. We have this Saturday location. And I just remember going like, there's no way, like, God had to be in it, you know? And so I remember that's technically how we came to Arise, but we were at Arise for about a month and a half before I came on staff. And that's like the only time we were able to attend Arise, because anytime we moved here, we were always at a church. We came to a fire night one time. When we were launching, we had some off weeks, so we came a few times. The apologetics series, we went from the apologetics series. But there were always unique services. There wasn't just like a regular...
not just Sunday morning.
Yeah, which is also not regular either at Arise. And so, but I just remember, like, you know, out of all the churches we could go, we're like, man, this is where we're going to attend. We're going to go, we're going to take a break from ministry, and we're just going to be fed at Arise. And God's like, no, I have a different plan. And so that's what brought us to Arise, was honestly, I think God working that entire time. So
that's so good.
Yeah.
When I think of you, and just for our audience, I'm talking about you, but back at Pentecost Sunday, I preached a message talking about the Spirit of Jesus is the spirit of adventure. And people of the Spirit should be not necessarily reckless, but they should be the people that are moving with the Spirit, which is untamed and uncontrollable and will lead you in directions that are different. And the first times I remember having conversations with you, I work with a lot of church planters. It's not uncommon for me to sit with people and talk and hang out. And they're sort of all the same, because they all kind of take this ARC model or CMN. And those are just different models, if you don't know what they are, of church planting. And it's always a little bit of annoying to me, because you can't just, it's not cookie cutter. You can't just do that. But, you know, I don't want to say anything, and I don't want to diminish their spirits. And so when I met with you, the very first time we ever met was at a minister's meeting. And I just remember asking you questions, and you're like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're just trying to be led by the Holy Spirit. And what is God saying? And we're trying to go with that. And I'm in the back going, in my mind, I'm going, yes. Somebody who's just like following this adventurous spirit of God and going after it, without just this cookie cutter, do these 5 steps to planting a church. And I fell in love with you right then. And I'm like, man, I love this guy. And then you and Victoria both are so prophetic and so used of God, and it's such a beautiful thing. So I love that you are here with us. And just for the record, how long have you been here now? Because it's not real long.
Has been long. A year. 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so right out of
right out of a year. Right out of a year. It's been 1 year.
Yeah. So you were really our first Pastor Ken launched Saturday service.
He did,
but
yep.
we did that knowing he wasn't the permanent solution. And so you stepped in after that. So
Yep.
being at Arise, and this is not a comparison game, but you've been at other churches and what have you. What do you love about serving at Arise?
There is an emphasis on the Holy Spirit from everyone that I have not experienced at any other church. That includes the church that I launched, right? And that is from every level of leadership. That's not like, oh, well, you know, he's the prayer lead, so that's why he really loves the presence of God. Or, you know, Pastor Jason, you know, that's Pastor Jay. It's everyone. It's everyone. Pastor George, facilities guy. I mean, in love with the Holy Spirit. And so I remember coming just as attending was the presence of God, just the presence of God. And I was just like, finally, because I did the cookie cutter models, by the way, the CMN, the ARC things. I've been at those churches, and I was like, I'm not here to run a play that devoid of the presence. That's just not kind of what I was wanting to do. And so I remember like, I've seen that before, and it runs. You can run it. You know, it's very easy. You run it, you do it, and it works. But I was like, I want the presence of God. That changes. It changed my life. I mean, it changed. I grew up in the church. But when I got filled with the Holy Spirit, everything was changed. And I was like, I want people to have that experience.
That's so good.
And so coming here, I'm talking on staff, walking the halls, in worship, kids ministry, it doesn't matter where you're at, youth, everyone has this expectation and this desire to encounter the presence of God. I've not seen anywhere. I have not seen it like that anywhere. And that has been the most unique thing for me, working here, being a part of here, just attending here. And it's nice because it's not like I'm trying to push something that's not desired. Everyone wants it. And, you know, like, who wants to encounter God? It's like everyone wants to. So that has got to be the biggest thing for me, because it's been refreshing. It's been refreshing.
That's so good. I love that you say that, because that really is our identity. You know that, working with us, but it really is behind the scenes and in front of the scenes both is our identity. Okay, before I give you the last question, I'm just going to throw this out there. What is there something about you that might shock everybody else because they don't know about you, besides the fact that you know you eat sushi and love sushi? What else? And you're a baseball star apparently. Do you even play on the church softball team?
No, my wife won't let me. She's like, we got too much stuff going on. I was like, okay, that's fair.
Some point in your career, you got to get back in.
I do. I played at softball when we were in Oklahoma. I did play on the softball team there, and I've talked to Brandon, and so he's like, when are you gonna do it? I was like, I want to.
All right, one thing that would shock everybody or surprise everybody about you.
Yeah, this is fun. Not a lot of people know this. My wife didn't know this till like 6 years into marriage. And so she still holds it against me. But my family, including me, are decorated horseback riders. Okay. So we would show horses, we would jump horses, and we would do a ton of barrel racing.
Really?
And so everyone in our family, except the youngest, because he wasn't alive then, are decorated horseback riders. And obviously as you get older, they get more, but we have plaques, medals, pictures. And so if you went to the rodeo, like if you went to like the rodeo in Polk County, or you went to the rodeo somewhere right off of 60, and you're watching these people dressed up with the whole outfit, that was our family. We would show up to these things, and we did that a lot. Yep. So that's unique. My wife thought I just knew how to ride horses because I lived on the ranch. And then when my parents apparently put everything up in one of the rooms, and she was like, wait a second, you're decorated. And I was like, I mean, we were forced to do it. So, but that's unique. I don't know if a lot of people know that about me, but yeah.
That's so good. We're going to have to sit down off camera sometime soon to talk about Pastor Kieran's horseback riding experience in Brazil.
I actually want to hear this. I've heard so little about it.
Funny. Because I grew up riding horses too, not probably to the extent you did, but yeah. All right, one last question. Okay. All right, if you could sit down with the people in our church, you want them to get to know you, your heart, who you are, and you're going to sit down with somebody in our church and have coffee with them, what do you hope they know about you when you walk away? Or when they walk away? When they walk away about me.
I hope they know that I'm there, honestly, in that moment because of God. I hope that's what they get from this. That like I said, I didn't say yes to the call till I was 19. I remember telling my family, and they're like, "Yeah, we knew this the entire time." Like I was slow. I was slow to God's leading. You know what I mean? It wasn't like Josh did the right things. I did not do the right things. You know, and so for me, I want people to know it's like, hey, it's never the wrong time to say yes to the Lord. And so I'm having a coffee with you, and the only reason why I'm even in this seat is because I have been transformed and led by the Holy Spirit, as well as someone else has been led and transformed by the Holy Spirit. Like that's how God works. And so it's like your greatest adventure is saying yes to Jesus, and you can be late or you can be early, you can be right on time, but so I hope people get that, where it's like, I didn't make the right choices, and yet God still had His will in my life, and so that's been the best thing that's ever happened to me.
So good. You're a turtle on a fence post, right?
A turtle on a fence post. Very slow.
Did not get there by yourself. Did not get there by yourself.
No.
If you ever see a turtle on a fence post, you know it did not get there by itself. All right. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode today. I hope you got to know Pastor Josh a little bit.
Yep.
Anything else you want to throw in before we wrap up?
No, I think that's it. This has been awesome, and hopefully, if you're a horseback rider, let me know. I'd love to get to know anyone else watching this more. It's been nice. I love the Arise family. You guys have been welcoming, and man, I hope to continue to get to know you guys.
So good. Yep. Well, do me a favor, make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already done that. Always leave us comments. And if you know somebody in the Saturday service that needs to get to know Pastor Josh more, or just anybody in general, but especially in the Saturday service, this is a great opportunity to send this over to them and let them get to know Pastor Josh a little better than maybe they already do. Yeah. With that all being said, we look forward to seeing you back next week for another one of our summer stories where we interview one of our pastors. God bless you guys.
See you guys.